Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My husband and I just recently celebrated our first wedding anniversary, and it was beautiful. We just hung out at the house and spent time together because we're in quarantine. What else are you gonna do? But it's just amazing to me that we have already spent a year married to each other. Like, that is insane, blows my mind, and God, I love that man. But that's not exactly what this video is gonna be about. If you watch my previous video, you'll know that I was with a man for almost 5 years, on and off for about 5 years, and he was everything to me. He was my first love, but he was also very emotionally, and he cheated on me all the time, literally all the time. So it wasn't a healthy relationship, and I moved straight from that relationship to talking to Jake. And while Jake has been absolutely amazing, he is the best husband I could ask for, he is the most supportive partner, there are definitely still things that come up from my past relationship that affect us, that affect how I behave towards him or how I react. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you the top 5 ways that my past abusive relationship affects my marriage now. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much. It's so good to have you here. Today we are actually hanging out in my closet because this is my safe space. I just put up a positive affirmation wall, and the video for that will be out later this week, so make sure you check that out when it comes up. But today I kind of wanted to be comfy and in my safe space while I talked about this stuff because it's hard. Talking about this stuff it's still hard, even years later. The first way that my previous relationship affects my marriage now is that I find it very difficult to open up and talk about my feelings. In the past, when I would go to my ex and I would talk to him about things that he did that upset me, or just honestly anything in general, if I was upset and I went to talk to him, he somehow managed to twist it around and make it my fault. I could go up and say, hey, I didn't like the way that you talked to me, or I didn't like what you said, and he twisted it around and it was my fault and I ended up apologizing. So I don't feel comfortable really opening up to people and like telling them how I'm feeling because I'm so used to that being turned around and used against me. This is something that I am obviously working on because there is no marriage without communication. And this is one of the main reasons that I go to therapy, and one of the main things that we're working on, because I need to be able to express what I'm feeling. I need to be able to tell Jake if he does something that I love, but also if he does something that I hate. And I need to be able to do that without fear of him turning it on me or turning it around and making it all my fault. In order to work around this, we kind of have to figure out our own ways to communicate. We're still working on it. We are nowhere near perfect, but sometimes we'll write letters, we'll write text messages to each other, just so that way I don't have to say it out loud and I could write it down. My therapist has mentioned getting one of those, like, how are you feeling magnets, and putting it on our fridge so I can literally just put an emoji of how I'm feeling that day up there. We're working on ways so that way I can communicate how I'm feeling before I blow up, because that's another main part of this, is that I don't like to talk about my feelings until it becomes too much and I explode. It's like I bottle it up, and then when me and Jake are in an argument, it's like word vomit of everything he has ever done to irritate me the past 6 weeks. And that's not fair to him. I need to be able to tell him the little things in the meantime, let it go if it's really not that important, but I can't bottle it up until I explode, because then he's dealing with all of these problems and all of these things at once, when he really should only have to deal with them one at a time as they're coming up. The second big way that my past relationship affects my marriage now is triggers. I have a lot of triggers. I do not like it when people are mad. I do not like it when people get loud, or if they are like banging around. All of that scares me. I don't like when people yell. I do not like when people say certain things, or when situations remind me of situations I'd been in the past. So I have to deal with these triggers, and it almost emotionally puts me back into that place. Like, I know that 99% of the time when Jake's upset, he's not even upset with me. He's just frustrated because we're stuck in quarantine and have been for 8 months. Like, that's a normal emotion and reaction to what's going on. But if he makes a loud noise, I freeze up. It brings me back to that moment with my ex when he would try to intimidate me, when he would punch walls or he would throw things, those types of things. I still get triggered. And it's really hard because that can lead to overreactions. Jake can accidentally make a loud noise and then I'm freaking out, hiding in my closet, and I won't talk to him because I'm so anxious. And I need to be able to process through that. I need to be able to figure out, I work with both Jake and my therapist to do this, to pinpoint what triggered me and why. And that way we can talk about it and work through it. And a lot of times that's what we do afterwards. But it can be really hard when Jake does something very mild or what he sees as very mild and I have a very extreme reaction, but that's because I am being triggered in that moment. I am being reminded of a past traumatic event and I respond in the way as if that past traumatic event was still happening, but it's not. So I am learning to deal with my reactions, deal with my emotions, but also figure out why I'm actually having them. I'm not having these emotions because Jake made a loud noise. I'm having these emotions because of past trauma, and that's something I'm dealing with my therapist. The third way that my past relationship still really affects my marriage is that I am always scared that Jake is going to walk out on me or that he is going to leave me. And a lot of that fear can be tied back to BPD because the very first symptom of BPD is a fear of abandonment. So when you are living with these symptoms, you're always scared that the people close to you are going to leave you. But I also had to deal with situations in the past of people telling me that I wasn't worth it, that I was too much to handle, that I was lucky that they were putting up with me and that nobody would love me the way that he did. And obviously I'm talking about my ex here. It was just a lot of, well, you're lucky that I'm dealing with you. And I don't even know if he knows that he came across like that. But he was just, his attitude was very much, you are lucky to have me here because you're so screwed up, both mentally and physically. And that feeling was really instilled in me over those 5 years. And even after I left him, like, your self-esteem doesn't rebound right away. I still have those moments and I still can hear his words in my head telling me that, like, I'm not worth it, or that I'm lucky to have him, that nobody will be as good as him. It's just, he tried to make me feel like I was nothing. And now I still have times where I feel like I am nothing and therefore think my husband's going to leave me. I think this one is just going to take a lot of time and building up my self-esteem and just kind of telling myself that he's here because he wants to be here, because he loves me, because I am a valuable person. And it is not true, all of these things. I am not too much to handle. I am not too much for anybody to deal with. I am not perfect, but perfect for him. And my husband loves me just the way I am. And I think that's beautiful. This is slightly ironic considering I just spent however long talking about how I was terrified that Jake was going to leave me. But the fourth way that my past relationship still affects my marriage now is that when I get overwhelmed, I walk out. And it's not good. It's not a good habit, but I am just not good with confrontation. In my past relationship, confrontations did not end well. It was blow-ups. We had fights where he wouldn't speak to me for days on end, and this could be over something very minute, and he just blows up. I went to a movie one time that he apparently told me that he wanted to see with me, but I forgot that he had mentioned that he wanted to see it. So I went and saw it with my friends, and my ex literally blew up on me and I don't think talked to me for 3 days. Like, it's those types of things that make me not like confrontation, make me scared of confrontation, because the person that I was in a relationship with for so long was so good at escalating that conflict exponentially, just like whoop, straight through the roof. So when me and Jake get into confrontations now, when we get into arguments, Jake is genuinely trying to fix the problem. He's not trying to make it worse. There are times when he's mad and upset and he may lash out, but like, he's not trying to hurt me. As opposed to with my ex, I believe that was what he was trying to do. I don't know what else he could have been doing. But Jake's not trying to hurt me. Jake's not trying to escalate that conflict, make it more dramatic. Jake's not going to not talk to me for 3 days because I say the wrong thing. But I still shut down because I get so scared. It's almost like I'm so scared of saying the wrong thing that's going to make him leave. So I shut down and leave myself and like take myself out of the equation before I can screw everything up. And that's not healthy, because I should be able to talk to Jake. I should be able to tell him these things. I should be able to talk to him when I'm feeling overwhelmed. Or even if I do need a minute, I should be able to take a minute and then come back. I don't need to walk out the front door when we're in the middle of a fight. And I do that sometimes because when it comes to confrontation, I shut down. And I'm really, really trying to get better at it, to work through the confrontation as opposed to just shutting down. But yeah. The fourth way that my past relationship affects my marriage now is definitely that when I get overwhelmed, I like to walk out. Now, this last way that my past relationship still affects my marriage is a little adult, but I'm going to keep everything in PG terms, so don't need to worry. I'm not going to give you anything explicit or anything like that. However, there have been times where my husband and I have been engaging in acts that married people do, and I'll have a panic attack in the middle. Or I will all of a sudden I can't do it anymore. I get reminded, I get triggered, I have a panic attack. There's something that happens where I need to stop immediately. And that can get uncomfortable really, really quickly. Like, you're already in such a vulnerable position physically at that point and emotionally. But then you're even trying to open up even further. And you know that if you do, and I always have to, because if I'm having a panic attack, it's not like he's not going to notice or something. He's not going to just be like, oh yeah, she's fine. Absolutely not. But it stops that happy married time, and it just awkwardly cuts it off because I'm having some sort of mental health symptom, whether it be a trigger from the past relationship, or I've also just had some other past traumatic events that unfortunately come up during that time. I don't know how Jake does it, but he can code switch in his brain. The second he sees that I'm not okay, he just like holds me. He'll run his fingers through my hair. He'll rub my back. He'll tell me everything's going to be okay. He'll breathe with me. But it causes some awkward moments. It causes some awkward stops in your regularly scheduled marriage time. And it can be weird and uncomfortable to talk about. Like, oh, I'm sorry that's what we were doing. And then all of a sudden I had a panic attack. Like, it can be really hard to talk through that. And I'm very lucky that Jake is so good at it. But it does still happen, and I don't know if that's something that'll ever change. I guess with all of these, I'm just very lucky that I have Jake, who listens to me and understands me, or at least tries to. He works with me, and that, I think, is the biggest thing, is that he knows that my past relationship affects our marriage. He knows that my past trauma affects me and my behavior today, and he wants to understand, and he wants to help me work through it. So that's what we try to do. I work on my own with my therapist, and me and him, we work together and we talk, and we're trying to put that relationship in the past and be able to move forward. But it's hard, and it takes time. It took a lot of time for the trauma to happen. I was with this man for almost 5 years. I was actually in that relationship longer than I have been out of it at this point in my life, because I left in 2017, I believe. So that was only 3.5 years ago. So it's going to take time, and it takes patience and a lot of work. I'm just incredibly lucky to have a man who's willing to do all of that with me. This is the part of the video where I tell you guys to please, if you enjoyed this, to smash that like button for me, click subscribe, and ring the notification bell. I upload videos twice a week, so you don't want to miss any of them. As we go into these holiday months, I know that it's a hard time for a lot of people, and I just want you guys to know that I am here for you. I am sending all of the love and positive energy your way. We got this. Thank you again so much for watching. Sadie is clearly done with filming. I'll see you guys next time.